Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome to Ford's Theater. Have you got a ticket for this evening?
No, sir. I'm actually supposed to be here.
Are you? Well, most people have a ticket to get in to the show.
Right. Well, see, I am the show.
Be careful with that. I don't know about that. Yeah.
It's a prop.
Okay. It looks a little dangerous to me.
My name's Booth.
Okay, you're the show. Edwin Booth. Nice to meet you.
No. John Booth.
John.
The other brother.
I'm not as familiar with your work.
Right. So let me say this: the show might not go on unless I enter.
Okay. Well, excuse me. Mr. President.
Yeah, a little cool off, a little hot.
Oh, well, I don't blame you. It's very hot. Very warm.
Mr. President, pleasure.
Hey, this man says he's an actor. I think he's actually kind of a bit of a troublemaker, honestly. They pulled a gun on me, and
it's just a prop, actually. This gun right here. Don't be afraid. It looks very real, though, I have to say that.
It looks a
It's
little
shabby, right?
Okay.
So anyways, I should go in to perform tonight.
Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, let's give him a shot.
Okay.
Sure.
A shot. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
Just promise me that you'll not create any incidences. You know, I could use another incident like I could use another hole in the head.
So it's a performance you'll die for, I promise.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, good one. Oh, I guess if the president says you can go in, then I'm going to have to let you in.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen.
Please.
Enjoy your puff.
Mr. President.
There's no cure, there's no hope. Kill all these zombies.
Hey, this is Stephen and Gillum of Wages of Cine. This is 31 Days of Horror. We have a special guest reviewer today, actually two guests.
My name's Eric Poe, and I've worked with a lot with Wages of Cine. And
Jason Vail. I'm an actor.
And what are we reviewing today?
we're reviewing Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies.
And who are you in Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies?
I was John Wilkinson.
John Wilkinson.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
And then, spoiler alert.
Turns into John Wilkes Booth. Sorry, I meant to give it away.
Not that we didn't give it away already.
If you haven't seen it by now, shame on you anyways.
Exactly.
Can you tell us about the director and like when this came out?
Richard Shankman was the director and screenplay writer. He also basically, 2012 is when it came out. And it had a cast of probably 100 actors between the extras and the main players. It was shot in Savannah, Georgia, and it was produced by the Asylum.
I'm a big fan of Asylum films. I try to watch as many as possible.
Sharknado is obviously one of their more popular ones. Mega Shark versus Crocosaur. Am I saying that right? They'll kill me.
One
if
of those.
I'm wrong.
You know what? If you say anything, it's probably one of the films.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of Z Nation. They do a TV show called Z Nation, which is on Sci-Fi.
Yep.
It's on Sci-Fi, and I think it's a great show. Some good cheesy special effects right out of Asylum movies. So.
Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies was, as I saw before I even had cast, I saw like a teaser poster. I'm like, when is this coming out? I could not wait. And I hit Redbox. I'm like, we went to several Redboxes around the area until we finally found it. We watched it in amazement. It's like, this is awesome. This was a kind of response to a more Hollywood produced.
It's called the mockbuster genre. Basically, the Asylum. Part of their thing is they produce a lot of monster flicks, but their other side is they produce what's called a mockbuster. So they take a film that's about to come out, let's say Transformers, and they produce a film called Transmorphers, and they put it out usually a month or so ahead of the other film, and the audience base for the main film, or I shouldn't say main film, for the Hollywood film, thinks maybe they're watching that film, and then they sometimes might get duped, and sometimes people just want to see it because they're like, well, I'm curious what if it's close to the film it's supposed to be making fun of.
I think if you already have that interest in the other ones, like finally I get some more, a little bit more of that stuff that I kind of want to see. So
Yeah.
I enjoy it all. I want to see it all.
They've had a couple actually pretty clever knockoff films that I was kind of surprised. I'm like, all right, that's actually not bad.
This one I enjoyed much more than the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I thought this was a much cooler film.
I think script-wise, and we talked about this earlier, because I think the fault in the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was they didn't really follow the book through, staying true to the book, whereas this was a completely different script, really had nothing to do with the other film at all in any way or form, and it had some really clever plot twists and characters. So I think I give Richard Shakeman and I think he had a couple other writers on it. They just came up with a really smart little silly B movie.
I think it was it is a B movie, but it's got some clever twists and turns in it. Some of the things that they did, the dialogue was pretty good. The acting was very good in it. And I just really liked this. As far as B films are concerned, I would probably, it's probably not on the same legendary scale, obviously, but like Evil Dead was an independent film that, it was kind of in the same genre as that. The way you had kind of a B movie, somebody got together, they had this idea, and they did it very well. It was well produced, in my opinion.
And it was produced for very little money. Let's keep that in mind. We're talking, again, a cast of 100 people. We had one makeup artist for 100 acters playing zombies.
Wow, zombies look really cool in there.
Which is kind of crazy. And Renanda Anderson was the makeup artist. So she had to pull it off. We originally had I think it's on IMDb, so I'm not going to give away anything you don't know. But I think the original budget was $300,000, and then day 2 we lost half of that. Wow. So our budget got cut in half by day 2 for reasons I won't talk about because the sound might not want me to tell people. I know the truth, but it happens. Sometimes films lose their budget. And so, so we had to kind of tighten the belt on a lot of things.
Is that like something that's announced to everybody? Like, does everybody know? And everyone kind of okay, we got to work with what's going on?
I don't know if it was something we were supposed to know.
Okay.
It just sort of got around the cast and we knew it. I think there's just a lot of pressure to get the film done on time. And I think we originally were slated for 12 or 14 days of shooting. Mm-hmm. It ended up carrying over to about 16 or 17 days of shooting. Which is crazy in itself. It's a feature film.
That's awesome. To get all that done in that short amount of time and have it look the way it does, I think it's pretty cool.
We had some very skilled people, especially in the crew, that really just came together and made it happen.
Well, when you look at a budget like $300,000, and if you know that much about film and you realize that's really not a big budget, and then when you hear that it got slashed, but it's a solid film. There's a beginning, solid middle, solid end, and it's, the whole thing is a good, solid film.
There's some fun. I think my most favorite scene is when we're all kind of like lining up inside the Fort Pulaski for the first time, the Secret Service guys. And it's just shot well. It's one of my favorite stills. There's a still taken from that, and I'm like, I love that still. It just looks so badass.
And I like the spin with the Secret Service, because I think in actual history, Lincoln was starting the Secret Service. So to have that kind of included with you guys coming in, is like kind of his little troop that he brings out there to take care of. His little
special forces coming in to kick some butt. So, and the other clever thing was embedding. We already gave it away. John Wilkes Booth within the Secret Service, mm-hmm. and as a spy, which of course doesn't get revealed till the bitter end. But I thought it was a really very clever plot line. I'm not going to give away any more spoilers, but it ties into the very end, obviously.
It had me I'm like, wait a minute, and I'm like, maybe they're friends. And I was trying to as my brain went wild with that. I'm like, what's going to happen? I was hooked. I'm like, all right.
Like John Wilkinson sounds familiar. Wears a mustache. Come on.
Now you mentioned Fort Pulaski. It was filmed in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, the entire film was shot in Savannah, Georgia. We shot downtown for a lot of it. I'd say 75% of it was shot in Fort Pulaski. And then there were a couple random areas. Like we shot a zoo. I didn't know Savannah had a zoo, but there's this wildlife type zoo tucked away on one of the roads. So we shot a couple of the scenes inside the zoo. I can't remember which scenes they were. They're the nighttime scenes. And yeah, just very random locations that I don't even know how they found them. Just patches of woods that we were running through and things like that. Okay. It was fun. It was actually a lot of fun.
Now, one of my favorite things in the film, I'm gonna give a tiny spoiler of a character that pops up in the film.
Don't do it. Okay.
Now, there's a character that pops up in the film that's Theodore Roosevelt. And
Very young.
I love the tie-in with Theodore Roosevelt. They played around with his age a little bit, but that's okay. I'm all right with that because it was really
If
good.
Tarantino can do it, then it's fine. You know?
But I thought there was some great cheesy, I mean, I won't say cheesy lines, but I mean like legitimate Theodore Roosevelt lines that Abraham Lincoln delivers to Theodore Roosevelt in the film, which just, I don't know, those kind of things make it for me when you tie in things like that are unrealistic, but it was fun, and it could have happened. It could have happened that way.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
And there were many historical figures, but we won't give those
We won't
away.
mention
But there
all
were
of them.
several historical figures in the film that were all kind of tied into the plot line, which, again, made it kind of fun because you just kept waiting for who's next. Like, all right, well, who's going to be next in this crazy little thing?
Very cool.
All right, so you guys are going to ask me if there were any behind the scenes or anything.
Yeah.
Or,
If you've got any good behind-the-scenes hijink stories, or
Several.
I mean, all kinds of nutty things happened during that production because it was shot in 2 weeks. I was cast literally like the day before, 2 days before shooting, which was insane to get on a set and not even really have your lines memorized, which may show in some scenes. But you just go with it as an actor. You just do
and
your
you
thing.
had some extended line scenes in the film as well.
Well, there were a couple
right?
improv things. Actually, here's a little trivia. The scene where he had me do the Hamlet, the piece of monologue from Hamlet, was actually added at the last second. So Richard walks up to me and goes, "You did Shakespeare?" I said, "Yeah, I did lots of Shakespeare." He goes, "Here, memorize this. It's from Hamlet." And I go, "Okay." So I basically took about 5 minutes, came back, and we shot the scene. So it was the scene where I was about to stab, I can't give away things.
Someone or something.
Someone with a bayonet, and then I end up doing this little monologue to sort of like express my fear or guilt of the situation. So all that was kind of impromptu. There were a lot of funny things. The shoes. I'm not making fun of Judith. Judith was her costumer, and she was excellent. I think Judith Moore. Don't hate me, Judith, if I got your name wrong. But she was excellent, and so a lot of the shoes, because we were on a super low budget, were actually funeral shoes that funeral parlors would use for dead people, which is kind of morbid, but it kind of fit the film. But the problem with these funeral shoes, because they were so cheap, we had to order mass quantities of shoes for all the zombies and all the extras. And so these shoes were, like, I don't know, $2 a pair. But the only problem is the heels would fall off constantly.
They're not meant to be walked on, I guess. So
not
that
very,
would be,
not much at least.
So they look nice, but
They were look
not
nice,
made
but
for
they weren't made for running across pastures, which we did a lot in the film. So we'd all be running through these pastures, and sure enough, our heels were flying off. And so a lot of the actors would fall pretty often on occasion. I fell a couple times, but my shoes are actually real shoes. I just fell because I'm clumsy. But those are real falls. There's one scene where I'm running into Fort Pulaski and I'm dragging, I think it was Hannah, who played the younger prostitute, and I slip and totally bust it. Like it's right there in front of the camera, and then I get up and scramble in. But all that wasn't, it wasn't staged. I actually just fell, and we just went with it, like most of the film. All the props, all the weapons, the rakes, and all the metal stuff was real. None of that was like fake props. So when you see them swinging those rakes and those picks and all that was real. Like we were literally like wielding real freaking weapons at each other.
Was that a real scythe in the?
That wasn't. That was a wooden prop. I mean, it was wood. I mean, if it hit you, it would not feel good. But I mean, Bill learned how to use that. Bill came on the second day. Another hint. I won't name the first actor, but we actually had another actor playing Lincoln. That was fired the second day because whatever, irreconcilable differences, whatever you call it. It just wasn't meshing with whoever, and so they let him go. And Bill came in day 2. Literally learned the lines. I mean, I'm whining about, I just have to learn my lines, but man, I would sit down with that guy. I never met an actor with such a photographic memory.
Nice.
I would sit down with a big long speech he had to put on tape, we're 10 minutes away from shooting, and Bill's like, hey, would you run lines with me? I'm like, sure. We'd go off into a corner, run lines together, and he'd have that thing memorized within like 5 minutes. And then he'd go on and do a perfect take after take after take. And I was like, holy crap. Like, maybe I shouldn't be an actor because I don't know if I could do that. That's awesome.
I think it was really cool, Lincoln. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's only, if you don't know Bill, he's only like 5'7" or 5'6". He's not a big tall guy. So
It's not the tallest Lincoln they've ever had.
So they had to put him on apple boxes to sort of look like Lincoln in some of these scenes, and there were obvious moments where he was walking alongside of people. And
Did we give his last name? Bill?
Bill Burst Jr.,
Okay.
which is a huge horror actor. I'm sure most people that are horror fans know him. So I made the joke that if we had action figures, his would have to come with the little miniature apple box in the kit.
Um,
You should make one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So,
We'll take
but he
one to
was
the next
great, and he learned how to do that scythe thing like basically like the day of. Like he just started playing with it, and he had it down, man. He had all his shtick down, And I think one of his lines that another fellow actor made up on the spot for him wasn't in the script. He yells this line that was got.
And we're going to cut to the trailer there and show that.
Emancipate this!
Yeah, I find that line, but it's like the funny line where he's just like, emancipate, that's what it was. He said, emancipate this. And they just sort of made that up on the fly. One of the actors thought I think it was Ron Ogden. It's like,
Nice.
that would be funny if you did that.
Now, you'd have mentioned to me earlier, this is not the first time you played John Wilkes Booth.
Correct. So it's fun playing historical figures. And I'll add into the inspiration of how I played the role because I had so little time to really, how do you play John Wilkes Booth? Do you give him a southern accent or not? What do you do? So I played John Wilkes Booth before. Ironically, here's where it all crazily ties into Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. They were doing a book trailer for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter in New York for the book, not the movie. And I knew the casting director, and so she cast me in the role as John Wilkes Booth, fighting, and you can show a clip from that because it's still on YouTube.
It's a great clip. I mean,
I
I
think
enjoyed
that's-
that much better than I enjoyed the Vampire Hunter movie.
I think it has like 3 million views or something. It's ridiculous. But it was very popular. And so the rumor is that Tim Burton had seen our book trailer, and that's what inspired him to produce the feature film, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is kind of cool to know that Tim Burton saw you do a crazy little performance. So when I auditioned for this film, I mentioned that. I don't know if it had any relevance to why I got cast, but who knows, it might have helped. And it's always fun playing a character again.
Very cool.
And giving it a different spin. So, and to go into that, again, because I got cast so last minute, I had performed a one-man show on John Barrymore in grad school, and then I did it again in New York for a theater company. So from all my research, I knew that John Barrymore had seen many performances of the Booth brothers as a kid, so it inspired him to do his Hamlet. He actually probably stole from one of the Booth brothers, I don't know which one. Probably, I think it was Edwin or John that did Hamlet 100 and something times, and we had the record for performing Hamlet the most. You can fact check that.
Okay.
So that kind of influenced me to play the role the way I did. Plus, Richard basically said to me, and you'll see because I had so little time to pull this performance together. The scene with the zombie in the jail scene where the zombie, I accidentally shoot him because he starts to attack me. Spoiler, sorry. Whatever. But so in that scene, my accent's actually a little bit different from the rest of the movie because I was playing it the way I kind of conceived the character. I thought John Wilkes Booth might have just like a slight southern lilt that he could sometimes get rid of if he needed to. But then Richard walks up to me, the director, and says, I want him to be a big over-the-top theater actor. That's what I want. I said, okay, deal. So I played him big and over the top, and I had been a theater actor most of my life, so I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're doing because you're asking a theater actor to play a big over-the-top theater actor.
So at what point did he ask you to pull it back a little bit?
I did it myself. I knew I was chewing the hell out of some scenery in that film throughout, so I said, all right, you got to have some real throwing some real moments, Jason. Don't be a ham. Because it's, when somebody gives you that freedom, it's hard to restrain. And so, yeah, I camp it up a little bit here and there. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah. So those are some tidbits. I mean, there were a million other things that happened, but, I mean, it's been so long that I can barely remember the really fun things that would happen.
So did you make some close connections with the other actors on the set?
Yeah.
Or people who were in the crew that you've worked with?
I still keep in touch. Baby Norman and I, she played Lincoln's lover, past lover, I should say. So her and I are very good friends. We actually talked like a couple days ago. Bill Oberst and I keep in touch from time to time. We actually did another film together that was originally titled Valley of the Sasquatch. Now it's called The Hunting Party, I believe. They just changed the title because it got distribution. So look for that. So Bill and I are in that together again. There is Ron Ogden and Chris Marone, who I knew from Atlanta, went out to LA, so they're somewhere in LA doing who knows what. Sean Friedman, another actor, him and I talk from time to time. He played one of the rebel soldiers. Hannah Lynn Bryan, she still, I think, was still living in Savannah, but she's going to school somewhere now. Her and I have talked from time to time. So yeah, it's just sort of a small community. And what's funny is we always see each other. I always see them pop up in different film and TV shows all the time. I see different actors from Abe Lincoln versus Zombies all the time popping up on TV doing different things, which is kind of cool that we're all mostly still working, like a lot of the cast. So Chris Hozart, actually, he was in the film. Him and I are going to be in Killing Reagan, which is a show that's coming out in October on TV. Okay. So Bill O'Reilly book that's produced into a film. He did Killing Lincoln as well. Another tie-in to John Wilkes Booth.
6 degrees of separation here, I think we're getting into. Before we get to our rating of the movie,
Right.
Is there anything that you have done recently that you wanted to kind of push out there?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Absolutely. In October, so obviously Killing Reagan's coming out. I had a bit part. You want to know I'm in there because I don't even look like
We'll look for
me
you,
at all. Good luck. You'll have a hard time finding me. But Boo, A Medea Halloween, if I don't get cut out, I play a little cop in that. Yeah, so that's a fun,
Nice.
since we're doing
I just
horror
saw the
movies.
poster for that the other day. I'm like, what is this?
Doing horror movies, and it's sort of this time of the year, so
awesome.
so look for that. As far as other horror movies, Family Possessions officially premieres in Ohio, but look for that. And also, we'll do a screening in Columbia, South Carolina, for those of you that are local that want to come out and support at the Taps Theater. So that's on, I believe, the 28th of October. Please come out. It'll be lots of fun. It's a
I have my ticket already.
200 seat theater, lots of room. I think it's a little over half filled already, so scramble for those tickets if you can. And just some other things. I'm on the Have and Have Nots, Tyler Perry, another Tyler Perry gig next year, which will be fun. I'm in 5 episodes of that. I'm currently shooting a film called The Last in Line. It's a fantasy kind of type film, which is really cool. I'm hoping it'll end up in Dragon Con and other fantasy type cons. And TV show called Six. It's going to be on the History Channel. Excited about that. And gosh, there's something else I can't remember, but
Is DOLLFACE out? Is that
DOLLFACE has been out. Yep, on can't remember the name of the distribution company specifically. You can find it on streaming sites. So that, just Google it. It'll come up. It's been on Amazon off
I
and on.
believe it's the first time both Eric and I had seen you in a movie. It was then called Dorchester's Revenge.
Dorchester's Revenge, which soon became DOLLFACE. So you can actually still get Dorchester's Revenge in DVD on Amazon, on eBay.
And if you're kind of old school, like the Wages of Cine guys, you can go to the conventions, you can get it on VHS as well.
I actually have mine
Yes.
right over there.
There are VHS copies out there. The Cabin was another film I did with Tommy. All great films. Tommy's just a wonderful horror filmmaker. Gut was another horror film that I did back in 2012 that won the New York Horror Film Festival. One of my first indie films that sort of blew up at the same time that Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies blew up. It was weird. It's like some kind of weird thing in the universe. And they both ended up getting bootlegged illegally online. So they both got downloaded like 40,000 times around the same time period. So my IMDb literally went from being like 40 or 50,000, all the way down to like 4,000 rating. It was crazy. Like I was like a celebrity at that point for like a week or two. Just like, oh.
Well, we think you're still a celebrity, so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. As a little girl asked me at the fair that we were walking around, like, "Are you famous? Are you rich?" I'm like, "No, no.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
I'm just an actor. That's all I do." So, but thank you guys for having me, man. You
This
guys
has been
are
awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
Do you want to start us off on, we do the rating scale?
the rating.
5 being our favorite, 1.
and you're welcome to give it a 5. That's
Okay,
that's
so we're
fine.
going to do the rating scale for Abraham Lincoln
And
versus
you come up with whatever you want, something from the film. Come on.
anything you want. Scale 5 with a little twist. So, gents, I'll let who wants to go first? There. You want to go first?
I'll go first if you
All right.
want. I think that this is a great film. I love it. It's fun. Like I said, I think it's got some good dialogue. It's a solid film from beginning to end. It is a B film, so the budget's not too big, but I will give it, I'm going to give it 4 Theodore Roosevelt's, little Theodore Roosevelt's, not the big one with the mustache. That's me.
I'll take over from here. Oh wow, this is not. I'm slightly biased in this. I will give it. I was actually going to steal yours. I was going to give it 4 Derringers as well. Just a fun film. It is a film with extreme camp. Some people like to say it's so bad, it's so good kind of film. I like to think it's a high art piece, worthy of anyone's 90 minutes. So please check it out.
Absolutely.
I, as well, will give it 4 Secret Servicemen.
Nice.
Yeah, this movie was everything that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was not, and that's why I love it. I greatly enjoy watching it, so I recommend it to all to watch.
Yeah, take it for the fun that it is, and it is a lot of fun, and it does have some very clever plot things. So.
Well, thanks for coming out. This has
Thank
been
you.
fantastic having
Yeah.
you here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Where's Pike? He's dead. They got him. They came from nowhere. How many? More. There's more coming. Mr. President. Go.